Hundreds of years in the past, humans drained Earth of all its natural fuel, throwing civilization into disorder and violent conflict. To salvage what remained, the greatest scientists engineered modified orchids that served as a replacement power source. But even with energy restored, people still clashed, so the scientists introduced the transformation. At age 16, every person undergoes a procedure that turns them into the ideal version of themselves. These transformed individuals are known as pretties, and because they live perfect, cheerful lives inside the city, fighting no longer happens. Those who have not yet received the operation are labeled uglies, and live in the Uglyville dorms. Tally eagerly awaits her pretty operation and constantly uses a mirror app to visualize her future look. Her closest friend is Paris. They've called each other Nose and Squint since they were little. Sometimes the two sneak out after dark to the bridge and use special lenses to watch the pretties celebrating in the city. Tally still has 3 months before she turns 16, but Paris is slightly older and will undergo the procedure tomorrow. They share identical hand scars and both swear they'll never let the surgeons remove them. Suddenly, a patrol drone appears, so they hurry back to Uglyville. During the following day's gathering, Tally overhears students whispering about a secret settlement called The Smoke, supposedly run by a guy named David. Rumor says some people flee the city and hide there, though most believe it's just a story. Then, a holographic broadcast of Governor Cable appears, praising beauty and flawlessness. All new 16-year-olds are called up, so Tally bids farewell to Paris and asks him to meet her at the bridge in a month. That night, as Tally watches dazzling fireworks, she thinks back to when she first met Paris. Her parents had just dropped her at the dorms, and Paris stood behind her in line. They exchanged nicknames and bonded immediately. Once, Paris accidentally cut his hand taking a tablet from her, and she got the same cut so they'd never forget their friendship. Weeks pass, Tally studies, stares at her reflection, and checks her interface ring, but Paris never messages. After a month, Tally uses her ring to override her window, removes it to avoid being tracked, and sneaks out. She heads to the bridge, but Paris isn't there. Worried, she climbs under the structure, balancing dangerously until she reaches the city perimeter. She hides behind plants until a partygoer drops a mask, which she grabs. The mask casts a holographic outfit over her body, letting her blend into the glamorous event. Tally is amazed by the festive environment. She eventually spots Paris, who looks so different he doesn't recognize her. Tally removes her mask and asks why he skipped their meeting. Paris says his life has changed and he no longer knows how he fits with her. Stunned, Tally notices his scar is gone. Suddenly, alarms detect her, and Tally flees. She ends up trapped on a balcony, steals a bungee jacket, and leaps, bouncing safely to the ground. She quickly escapes the city by climbing beneath the bridge again. When she accidentally knocks a stone into the water, a drone tracks the noise and advances. But her classmate Shay arrives, pulls Tally onto her hoverboard, and they zoom away. The drone gives chase but Shay's wild maneuvers through the woods lose it. To repay her, Tally breaks into the kitchen and steals food. The girls bond over how lonely it feels when their friends turn pretty first. They discover they share the same birthday and look forward to transforming together. The next day Shay brings a spare hoverboard and teaches Tally to ride, but she falls immediately. At school, Tally sees other girls returning Shay a real book, which is unusual because physical books no longer exist. They're intrigued by its descriptions of life outdoors and wonder if that's what the smoke is like. Tally borrows the book, and some girls praise her daring stunt the previous night, which angers her. Shay must have told everyone. She fears punishment, maybe even losing her chance for surgery, but Shay says the city wants everyone to become a pretty. Time passes. Tally studies the book but still dreams about turning pretty. Shay keeps training her on the hoverboard. In return, Tally hacks with her ring to steal extra food. Tally shows Shay her pretty designs, but Shay has no account and seems uninterested in the transformation. Eventually, Tally becomes skilled at riding, and they try daring jumps together. When Tally returns the book, she mentions she'd love to see natural landscapes, and Shay replies that skipping the surgery wouldn't be terrible. Tally finds that absurd. Shay suddenly mentions the smoke and takes her into the forest edge. They leave their rings on branches, then cross the boundary using hoverboards over a river. Eventually, they reach ruined structures, and Shay teaches Tally about old-world rides like roller coasters. Inside a deserted building, Shay reveals the truth: the smoke is real, and David is coming. Shay isn't getting the operation, she's leaving that night and hopes Tally will join. But Tally refuses. She doesn't want freedom, she wants to be pretty. Upset, Shay gives her directions to the smoke in case she changes her mind, hugs her, and departs, following David's signal from another building. The next morning, on her birthday, Tally goes to the clinic for the surgery. Everyone else is called in except her. A guard escorts her onto an air vehicle to meet Dr. Cable, who says Shay has gone missing. Tally claims she knows nothing, but Cable displays biometric data proving she's lying. Cable insists Shay is in danger. David supposedly brainwashes runaways. Still, Tally denies knowledge, so she's sent back without the operation. That night, Paris appears at her window. Tally explains everything. Paris suggests she tell Cable what she knows so they can reunite. The next day, Tally is returned to Cable. She is told David is making a weapon against the city, and Tally must infiltrate the smoke. If she succeeds, she'll get the surgery. Cable hands her a necklace that emits a flash. Tally must activate it when she locates the weapon. Following Shay's notes, Tally rides the old roller coaster path for miles. She reaches a gap, falls into the forest, and is caught by an invisible barrier. She finds abandoned train tracks leading toward the smoke. She survives outdoors for several days, just like the book taught, and marvels at nature. After climbing a mountain, she finds another gap in the tracks and must make a risky hoverboard jump. The board shuts off midair, sending her plummeting, but restarts in time to land safely. She waits in a flower field as instructed. Meanwhile, Cable brings Paris to her office, revealing she summoned him. He says being back in town made him think clearly. Cable announces a special upgraded procedure, and Paris agrees to undergo it. At night, Tally wakes coughing. The field is burning. A stranger rescues her just in time. It's David. He scans Tally and her gear, removes a tracker hidden inside the hoverboard, but his device doesn't react to the necklace. At that moment, Cable's people receive the alert and start searching. By morning, David and Tally reach a smoke outpost where Tally reunites with Shay. Shay is thrilled, but Croy is wary. They camp overnight, and Shay asks about the necklace. Tally lies that it's a gift from Paris. Tally is surprised Shay seems happy, and when Tally voices fears, Shay assumes she's trying to convince her to return, sparking an argument. Tally agrees to try life in the smoke. The next day, Tally learns the smoke intentionally burns the orchids. They're poisonous and ruin the environment. Tally doubts him, insisting orchids fixed the energy crisis, but David claims that's propaganda. The flowers are destroying the planet. He invites her to join a mission to prove it. Croy objects, but Shay supports her. The group flies in a refurbished helicopter with solar power. From above, Tally sees lands once covered in orchids turn to wasteland. Shay uses a flamethrower to destroy more orchids. Suddenly, Croy's tablet alerts them that someone is approaching. David lowers the helicopter into smoke to hide. The motion loosens Shay's rope. She falls. Cable scouts close in, so Tally tosses a weighted bag and uses the rope to descend. Amid the flames, she finds Shay. When a scout moves near, Tally throws the burning bag at him. The girls grab the rope and escape just as a scout tries to jump aboard. After landing, Croy accuses Tally of leading scouts to them, but Shay defends her while David says anyone willing to risk their life for the smoke deserves trust. That night Tally can't sleep. She thinks about how Cable taught her to deceive the rebels. She leaves her tent and spots David bathing, then awkwardly retreats. The next day she's blindfolded and taken to the smoke, a thriving settlement living off the land. Life is harder than in the city, but food is better because they grow it themselves. Even elders work. There's no money, only sharing and trade. Most importantly, everyone chooses to be there. Old train rails are repurposed into tools. No weapons are made because they're peaceful. One afternoon, Tally finds a strange doorway, tries to peek inside, but Croy catches her and sends her away. Tally learns to craft tools, tastes spicy dishes for the first time, and dances around campfires. Later, David teaches her to use a crossbow. She misses many times, but eventually hits the target. On the return walk, David reveals he was born outside the city and lived with his parents in the wild. Tally is stunned. She barely knew her own family. David gives her gloves he made. A smoke member returns injured from orchid burning, reporting scouts nearby, stronger and faster than usual. Shay notices Tally's gloves and points out the gift is a sign David likes her. Shay tells her to make a choice and stop leading them on. On another walk, Tally mentions rumors about a weapon, so David takes her to a distant house. There, she meets his parents, AZ and Maddie, who protect old books. They once worked as surgeons for the city but started questioning unusual results. They learned the physical transformations secretly included brain modifications. Pretties became slow and dull, content under artificial bliss, making them easy to control. Many people died from the operation, but the truth was hidden. When Cable discovered AZ and Maddie knew this, she stole all their findings. Government doctors received a cure so they could think properly while operating. AZ and Maddie escaped and aged naturally in the wilderness. They've tried to recreate the cure but lack one synthetic ingredient, so they only have a basic serum, which is the real weapon. After hearing everything, Tally throws her necklace into the fire, choosing the smoke. She attempts to confess her past, but David says it doesn't matter, she's changed, and they kiss. The necklace sparks in the flames. At dawn, city aircraft assault the smoke. People flee, scouts chase them but run into traps like nets and logs, yet they're too powerful to stop. They capture everyone, including Shay. Tally hides with David. He wants to fight, but she stops him, they'd lose. They sneak to where the prisoners are gathered. Tally is horrified to see Paris among the enhanced scouts. AZ and Maddie are captured as Cable arrives demanding David's location. The parents refuse to talk, so Cable orders Paris to kill AZ. David and Tally rush out, but it's too late. Cable then tells everyone Tally has been helping her, turning the smoke against her. As they're distracted, Maddie slips the serum into David's pocket. Cable declares everyone will be transformed. Tally runs to a supply shed, starts a fire, grabs a crossbow, and climbs out a window as a scout breaks in. Flames trigger an explosion, knocking the scout back and giving David time to escape. Tally shoots a pursuing scout. Paris tries to join, but Cable orders withdrawal. Scouts burn Maddie's research and torch the settlement while others load captives into aircraft. When they leave, David gathers whatever supplies remain. Tally approaches him, and he nearly attacks her. She insists she must help rescue the captives, he says he can't trust her. Tally explains he needs her, he's never been inside the city. Later, back in town, Tally contacts the girls who read Shay's book and introduces David, proving the smoke is real. Tally borrows an interface ring and asks the teens to gather a crowd for a big diversion. Soon, groups of kids write, "The Smoke Lives," across the sky using hoverboards. Meanwhile, Tally and David wait for a transport to leave the clinic, then slip inside using hoverboards and land safely thanks to bungee gear. They sneak through hallways, and Tally tries to hack a lock, but the room isn't a kitchen, so it fails. The door opens, a pretty enters, and David fights him. After a brief struggle, David overpowers him. And Tally grabs his ring. They shove him outside and lock the door. Alarms sound. Tally and David find the cell and free everyone using the ring. But Shay is missing. Croy explains she was already operated on. Most escape, while David, Tally, and Maddie split off to find Shay. They reach the lab. Shay is now a pretty. Tally cries, apologizing, but Shay insists she loves her new self. Cable and Paris arrive, forcing them onto the machines for their own transformation. The process begins, needles lower, but the smoke's helicopter appears. Croy blasts fire, forcing Cable and Paris to run. The damage halts the machines, and the trio escapes. Tally grabs Shay, Maddie retrieves the missing ingredient. On the roof, Paris appears. Tally pleads with him, using their nicknames, and points out he regained his scar after being cut by glass. Paris gently touches her face. David thinks he's hurting her and tackles him. Paris is too strong and nearly kills David, but Tally speeds on a hoverboard and slams Paris, knocking him over the edge. He clings briefly, whispers her nickname, then falls into the waterfall. The group escapes on hoverboards and sees the teens causing drones to crash into each other. They hide in the abandoned ruins. Maddie mixes the serum with the final component, but she's unsure if it's safe or damaging. Shay refuses to take it, and Maddie won't force anyone. Tally volunteers to be the test. She'll surrender, undergo the procedure, then take the cure. She promises to leave a signal to show whether it worked. Cable arrives with aircraft, so after a final farewell, the group flees while Tally allows herself to be captured. Later, Tally lives as a flawless pretty in a lavish apartment. She insists she loves this life, yet the scar on her hand shows she's still herself, and secretly spying.